So welcome everyone, and again we'll start as usual with a mindful breathing exercise meditations for a few moments to quiet and calm our mind, to bring our mind in moment present. Then we can try to think, contemplate that even though we cannot remember and recollect what everyone has been our most kind, precious mothers so many times in so many different lives, and been so kind each time. And even when they're not mother, all the comfort and happiness we experience come through the kindness of other sentient beings, contribution of other sentient beings. So try to feel the kindness of others. Without others, we would not have all the comfort and pleasure and happiness that we enjoy at the moment. And all the inner peace, joy, happiness. Once you feel the kindness of others, and try to generate the wish to repay the kindness. And even though those most kind sentient beings, even though they wish to be happy all the time, they struggle to find happiness all the time. Especially they struggle to find true lasting happiness. With that understanding, wish them from your heart, wishing them happiness and cause of happiness. We can think someone who is very close to us, in front of us, next to that, neutral persons, next to that, someone whom we dislike most, and surrounding all of them and ourselves, all sentient beings. And we wish someone who is very close to us, may he or she has all the happiness that he or she wishes. And may he or she has true ultimate happiness and the cause of ultimate happiness. And I myself would lead them to happiness and cause of happiness. In the same way, we wish happiness for the neutral persons. That person also wish to be happy, not to suffer, just like ourselves and our dear ones. And that person struggle to find true happiness. How wonderful if he or she have happiness and cause of happiness. May that person have happiness and cause of happiness. All the peace, all the joy, all the happiness, all the goodness. May the persons have the ultimate happiness, true ultimate happiness. I myself will lead that person to the ultimate happiness and cause of happiness. Then we think of the person whom we dislike most. Even that person is just same like ourselves, our loved ones, and the neutral persons, another person, another human beings, another sentient beings. Wanting to be happy, wishing happiness, but we struggle to find true happiness. How wonderful if that person can find happiness and cause of happiness. May the persons have all the peace, all the inner joy, happiness, totally content and satisfied. May the persons have the true ultimate happiness and cause of ultimate happiness. May I myself lead that person to ultimate happiness and cause of happiness. And then we wish all the happiness and cause of happiness. Everyone who is here, may everyone who is here in the room or in the Zoom, may you all have peace, inner joy, satisfactions, sense of contentment, and ultimate happiness and cause of ultimate happiness. I myself will lead all of them to ultimate happiness and cause of happiness. Then we wish happiness for all the beings in this country. May all the persons and the being in this country find peace in their heart, joy and happiness in their life. May they all find ultimate happiness and cause of happiness. I myself would lead all of them to ultimate happiness and cause of happiness. Then we wish and feel love to all the sentient beings in this world. May all the sentient beings in this world have happiness and cause of happiness. May they all find inner peace, joy, and satisfactions. May they all have ultimate happiness and cause of that ultimate happiness. Then we wish happiness to all sentient beings of the six realms, seen, unseen beings, every living sentient beings within any of the six realms. How wonderful if all these sentient beings find happiness and cause of happiness. How wonderful if each and every sentient beings find true inner peace, joy, and satisfactions. How wonderful if each and every sentient beings have ultimate happiness and cause of ultimate happiness. May all sentient beings have true inner peace, joy, happiness, satisfactions. May all sentient beings have ultimate happiness and the cause of ultimate happiness. I myself will lead all sentient beings to inner peace, joy, happiness, satisfactions. I myself will lead them to ultimate happiness and cause of happiness. In order to lead them to ultimate happiness, first, I myself need to achieve fully awakened state. The state that's free from all the obscurations, and state that has actualized all the positive qualities, inner positive qualities. In order to achieve that Buddhahood, fully awakened state, I must engage into the bodhisattva practice, bodhisattva path, by cultivating the bodhicitta mind and the wisdom. For that, I need to meditate, contemplate, and practice correctly, continuously. For that very purpose and reason, I'm going to listen. And not only just listen, whatever I find any beneficial and help, that I will try to integrate and apply in my everyday as much as possible. Okay. Refuge and bodhicitta. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Family. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Shedan Soge Chonam La Chanchu Patu Dani Gyatso Che Nagi Chushe Gibe Sonam Ge Dola Penje Sangye Dubar Sho Sangye Shedan Soge Chonam La Chanchu Patu Dani Gyatso Che Nagi Chushe Gibe Sonam Ge Dola Penje Sangye Dubar 안제 두전이 돈에 어떤 제품에서 담배 전에 전제에 고담 때라 차서. So we are in section on the practice of higher scope of the bodhisattva, and in that we are in a section where the meditations on the bodhicitta, and within the meditation on bodhicitta, by following this particular method of 7 point of cause and effect, we have discussed the first 4 points of the meditations, recognizing all sentient beings as being a mother. Secondly, remember the kindness, recollecting the kindness. Thirdly, cultivating the wish to repay the kindness. And fourth, cultivating the loving kindness. And so in relation to that, we did just a little bit of meditation as a part of the motivations on meditation on loving kindness. Again, as I mentioned or repeat quite often, we did very short meditations, part of the motivation for the loving kindness. Of course, we didn't spend enough time to really feel even more strong as we go through that. But the meditation, you just give the time to contemplate and to feel. And so that is the thing. So it is nothing different from what we discussed last week. But last week, we just talked about it. We didn't take the time to really contemplate and feel it. And that is what meditation is actually what we are discussing. We are discussing about meditation techniques. It's just that we didn't have the time to take it. So that the point is when you go back home, then whatever we have studied and learned, you go home and you take the time to go through each of those points and then try to feel it. Try to contemplate and try to feel it until your feeling of that kind of true love started to arise, manifest, And so the fourth, no, that is the loving kindness fourth, and the fifth one is the meditation on compassions. Compassion is different from, pity. Okay. So, and within the compassions, again, you often see compassions, immeasurable compassion, great compassions. You see those different terms. When you read Buddhist prayers, scriptures, texts, sometimes they mention compassions. Sometimes you see this term, immeasurable compassion. Sometimes you see this term, great compassions. And those are slightly different state of minds, Just like loving kindness we talked about last time, compassion is also, the true compassion is unconditional, unconditional. The true compassion that we are trying to cultivate, or the Buddha encouraged us to cultivate, or the true compassion that is the root of the bodhicitta, is unconditional. It's nothing to do with yourself, it's to do with the others. The other being do not want to suffer. Nobody want to suffer. Nobody wish to suffer. Even in the dream, when you have pain and suffering dream, even in the dream you try to see how you are trying to avoid that, how you are trying to run from that, how you are trying to protect yourself. That is clear. Even in a dream, we do not wish pain and suffering. Not only when we are awake. So nobody wish to be suffering. So because nobody want to suffer, nobody wish suffering, and they have right to not to suffer. They have right not to suffer, and they have potential not to suffer. On the basis of that, on the basis of understanding of that, they wish not to suffer, and they have right not to suffer, then you develop this compassion thought of wishing them to be free from suffering and cause of the sufferings. That is what compassion mind is. The compassion mind is by understanding that the other sentient beings do not wish suffering, do not want pain, and by understanding they are going through pain and suffering, and the wishing them to be free from that pain and suffering, regardless how they act, how they respond to you or not, how they react to you or not, regardless what your relation with them or not. But just on the base, they do not want suffering, and they have right to be not to suffer, and therefore, sincerely, you wish them to be free from the suffering, cause of suffering. That is the compassion mind. And you can have a compassion mind for 1 person, 10 persons, 100 persons, 100 beings, persons or animal or any other sentient beings. But when your compassion expand to more and more sentient beings, we start with some and then we expand that same feeling, same compassion feeling to more and more sentient beings. And then when the object or your compassion become numberless or immeasurable sentient beings, then that become immeasurable compassions. The object of compassion, not just 1 person, or just 100% or 1,000 person, 1 million, but it is the immeasurable sentient beings. And you expand that even further, and then when you are able to feel that compassion mind to each and every sentient beings, without excluding any sentient beings, that become great compassions. The great compassion include each and every sentient beings. Do not exclude 1 sentient beings. If you exclude 1 sentient being from the object of your compassion, then that doesn't become great compassion. And if you don't have the great compassion, then you cannot develop true bodhicitta mind. In order to have true bodhicitta mind, you need to first develop the great compassion. The great compassion is the main cause of bodhicitta mind. Okay? So if I read from the text itself, the 5th point, compassion. Why shouldn't mother beings who are aching from the suffering be separated from suffering? May they be separated from it. May I contribute to their being separated from it. And so that is all it has here at the moment in this text. And again, when you do the meditations, the way we do the technique is same like the way we do the loving kindness. It's the same. The method is same. You visualize same people of 3 categories: someone who is most dear to you, someone who is neutral, and someone you dislike most. And you go with each of them. With someone who is very close to you, you think, recollect, contemplate all the pain, suffering that they are experiencing, that they are going, even though they do not wish all of those pain or all of those suffering they're experiencing. Try to, contemplate and try to feel their pain and sufferings. And not only the pain, direct, obvious pain, but also all the potentials that could bring more pain and suffering in the futures, the karmic potentials and afflictive emotions, the obscurations, so try to feel that and then, wishing them to be free from that pain, suffering, as well as all other pain and sufferings, And again, you take more time to build up that feeling stronger and stronger. First, how wonderful it would be if that person is free from all the pain, suffering, and cause of all those pain and suffering completely. And then you try to feel try to feel even more strongly, not only how wonderful, but may they be free from all this suffering, what they are experiencing, and all the other future suffering that they could experience. All the suffering and cause of suffering. And then, even more strong, building more stronger state of mind. Not only may they be free from suffering, cause of suffering, but I myself will free them from the suffering and cause of suffering. And so you feel strong that, and then next you do same meditation with someone who is more neutral, and then next you do someone whom you have most difficult, someone you dislike most. Again, just understanding even that person is just like ourselves, who doesn't want to suffer, who doesn't wish suffering, but they are experiencing pain, sufferings, and they have a lot of potential for future pain and sufferings. So again, trying to understand as a human to human beings, as a person to persons, not thinking about what their political belief, what their spiritual belief, what their different appearances, but more understanding as a human to human, sentient to sentient being. They are just another sentient being, just like myself, my loved ones, who do not, just like all of us, who do not want suffering, who do not wish suffering, but they are suffering. And with that, try to feel their pain and suffering as a human, not as someone who has a different political view or opposite view or policies or spiritual path, whatever, So, but instead trying to connect and understand as another human being's feeling to another human being's feeling, another sentient being's feeling to another sentient being's feeling. Try to understand that pain, and then they also have not only their sufferings and they don't want sufferings and they are suffering, but also they have a right not to suffer. And then with that also wish them to be free from suffering and cause of sufferings. Whatever suffering that experience at the moment, as well as all the potential for the suffering in the futures, the cause of all the sufferings. And then you expand that, not only these three persons, but then all the persons, let's say in here when we do together in this room, then you expand not only all people in this room, and then the room, you try to feel same, compassionate, the wish to free them from suffering and cause of suffering, all the beings in this country, in all this world, and in all the sentient beings in the 6 realms. So that is how you expand slowly, slowly, starting from want and then expanding. And that is how then we include each and every sentient beings at the end, finally. So that is same, just as we did this morning with loving kindness during the motivation meditations. The method, the technique is same. And so you go home and you do that. That is the homework, that is the exercise. The homework exercise is what you hear, those different technique meditations. And since we don't have time to do all of them, here. Then you go home and take the time, even if it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half hours. You try to do that. At least during this, until the next week, you can try to do that. Not every day, at least few times. So then, that is where, not only you learn, but you try to apply, integrate into your meditation practice, your everyday life. So that is the homework. That is that is like in a science class. They teach you how to do the experiment, and then you go home and do the experiment yourself. Once you learn how to do the experiment, then you go home and do the experiment. The same. That's what we do. So that is the compassions. Okay. I don't know. And as His own Dalai Lama emphasized all the time, all the time, compassion is something that we all need to cultivate and develop. Whether you are Buddhist or not, whether you are religious or not, whether you are spiritual or not, but everyone need to cultivate a compassion mind, loving kindness mind. The loving kindness and compassion mind, if you can develop that, it brings a lot of peace, calm in your own life, in your own mind. When you have love and compassion, there's no space for anger, hatred, evil feelings. As long as you have that compassion mind, loving kindness mind, there's no space to feel so negative, so angry, so much hatred, all of those. And when you are free from all of that, your mind is much more peace, calm. Your life is much more peace, calm. And when you have that feeling, even all sentient beings, meaning also yourself, to yourself. And when you have that, also you don't have any space to feel bad for yourself, negative for yourself, ill will feeling and negative feeling for yourself. So again, it doesn't give space for self-hatred, self-hatred. So it helps to protect from self-hatred and hatred towards others. If we can develop. And then, one of the things that are missing in our world, even though, from education point of view, there's so much improvement in general educations in our centuries and in last decades, few decades, science, medicals, educations in general, ordinary education. There have been so much progress, getting better and better, all of that. Despite that, human problem hasn't stopped. Human problem is still there, if not worse than 50 years ago, sometime still there. Why is that? Why is that we are getting more and more educated, but how come the society is still so much problem? How come you are educated? It should be better. It should improve. You are less ignorance because of the educations, but still not. Why? Lack of compassion. Lack of, lack of compassion to each others. Lack of compassion to each others. Lack of loving kindness to each others. That has become the biggest problem in the world, especially at this politically very divisive, violent times. This country, as well as all over the world, there's so much anger, hatred towards each other, just because you have different policy, because you believe different things, because of whatever, Instead, so the education, the your normal education didn't solve the problems. You know, thing is, why is that? It's lack of compassion, and like due to the lack of compassion, there is so much now, knowledge, understanding, because of the improvement or development in science, technology, and so forth. You know how you know due to, let's say, your emissions, from the factories, from the cars, and it is affecting in some part of the other part of the world, let's say the Himalayan regions, the glacier, the snow, all are melting very fast. And due to that, there is a lot of, those lakes bursting and floods wash away that. People are running out of water and all those problems. The world understand it because of those technology and science. But are we trying to do something that to help those who are affected by our actions? No. We are not willing to help them to, to reduce their pain and suffering that has been affected by what we do, because it's not due to lack of not knowledge. It's not due to lack of not knowledge or not knowing. It's due to lack of compassion. And same thing, all over the world, there's so much poverty, so much people who starve, homeless, doesn't have basic, clean drinking water, who doesn't have a basic health. And we know there's enough resource to solve all these problems. And we know we can solve those problems if we can spend those resources for those things. The knowledge is there, the understanding is there, but still those are not happening. Why? Lack of love, lack of compassion. That's it. When there is true love and compassion, you can see in some of the small villages, even they have very little, they share with each other, they support each other, they take care of each other. Very little they have, but still people do not go hunger, homeless. Why? Because there's a sense of taking care of each other, there's a sense of concern, caring, compassion to each others, and thereby, so, and that being the case, therefore, as His Holiness always says, the need to, train our mind. The importance of training our mind to cultivate such true love, compassion is the key. It's the key for our own happiness, key for the happiness of others, key for the peace and happiness of this world that we live in. The world cannot live in peace, harmony, and happiness as long as people are angry with each other, as long as people have hatred for each other. Regardless of no matter how much progress you make with science, economics, knowledge, general knowledge, it is not going to change to bring peace, sense of real peace, but only when people started to cultivate true love, compassion to each other, concern for each other, care for each other. Until we have that, we cannot see the world that we wish to. The world, if we want to see the world that we wish, then everyone has the responsibility to create that, and that is that everyone has to train themselves to cultivate love and compassion and to improve and increase loving kindness and compassion. So that is that is with the compassion. So reading next one is 6 in terms of the meditation. The 6th point, special intentions. Sometimes special attitude, intentions. So what universal responsibility? You see those different translations for this. In Tibetan is laksam. So that is the 6th point. So here it says the special intention and the one effect, the bodhicitta, that is the 7th. 6 cause and the one result. The result is cultivating the bodhicitta mind, the one effect. So here it says, think, however, do I have the power to accomplish those wishes? What are those wishes? The wishes are just that we spoke about, the wish to free all sentient beings from the suffering and cause of suffering. The wish to lead all sentient beings to have ultimate happiness and cause of happiness. Those are the wishes. Those are the wishes that we all developed before through the loving kindness and compassion. With the loving kindness mind, you cultivate this strong loving kindness mind, the wish to free all lead all sentient beings to happiness and cause of happiness. Wishing them not only temporary happiness, but ultimate happiness and cause of happiness, and wishing them to lead to happiness and cause of happiness by yourself. And with the compassion, wishing them to be free from suffering, all the suffering and cause of suffering, and wishing them to lead to the freedom from the suffering, all the suffering and cause of suffering. Those are the wishes. So even though we have such a wonderful wishes of loving kindness and compassion, but do we have the power to accomplish those at the moment? And that is the question here you ask yourself. Not to mention all sentient beings. If you think of that, then if you do have those power to accomplish all these wishes now, not to mention all sentient beings, I don't have power to free even one from all the sufferings. Here it doesn't say all the suffering, but from suffering, nor place even one to perfect happiness. At this point, of course, we can help someone to reduce their pain. We can help someone to reduce their pain to a certain level. We might be able to help to free from one particular pain, one particular sufferings. But even with one sentient being, we don't have ability or power at this point to free them from all their suffering permanently. Do we have? We don't have at the moment. We don't have the power to free even one sentient being from all their suffering permanently. We don't have the power or the ability to lead even one sentient beings to ultimate happiness. We might be able to help someone to achieve temporary, transitory happiness. Someone is starving, we give them a food. They have temporary happiness when they have the food. When the hunger is fulfilled, when someone is thirsty, they need water or whatever drink you give, and that suffering can be, you can give them some happiness that fulfill their need for drink or temporary transitory. But we have the power to do that, but we don't have the power at this point to lead them to ultimate happiness. Even one sentient being, forget about all the sentient beings. So that is what he is saying. You have the wonderful wish, but you don't have the power to fulfill those wishes at this point. For that very reason, so again, all this is meditations. This is all meditations. You think in yourself. So, of course, we are reading it and giving little commentaries. But when you go home, you think each of those points and try to feel it. Try to take time to feel each of those points. And so that is what you do, For that very reason, I resolved to attain complete Buddhahood. So if I need to fulfill those wishes, if I need to fulfill those wishes, then I should be able to have the power to free all sentient beings from all their suffering and cause of suffering permanently. I should have the power to lead them to ultimate happiness and cause of happiness. But at this moment when I myself is unenlightened, when I myself in samsara, when I myself is under the control of karma and the delusions, and I myself is suffering, I myself is unable to achieve ultimate happiness, how am I able to help them to do that? Can I be able to do that? Is there any possibility for me to fulfill those wishes? And then you realize only if you could achieve your highest potential, only if you could achieve your highest potential, fully awakened state. If you can achieve your highest potential, the fully awakened state, when you are free from all the obscurations, not only the contaminated karma, all the delusion, but all the obscurations, when you are free from all the obscuration, and when you have actualized all the positive inner quality that need to be cultivated, or that there is to be cultivated. Highest level of love, compassion, bodhicitta, wisdom, to be able to understand each sentient being's predispositions, state of minds, karma, all of that, all details, and having the most, when you actualize the most skillful means and the power to be greatest benefit and help effortlessly, then you see, if I can achieve that, then I can definitely help them to free from all the suffering, cause of suffering. I can definitely help and lead them to ultimate happiness, cause of happiness. And when you understand that, then you have the wish to achieve that fully enlightened state. And you have that resolve or determinations to achieve that fully enlightened state. So that is what bodhicitta does. So here is, for that reason, I resolved to attain complete Buddhahood. And if I give up that resolve, surely I will fall into lower ends. And once we develop that kind of bodhicitta mind, and when we promise, with that bodhicitta mind, we promise to help and liberate all sentient beings. When you give up that, then again you break your promise. And I can do nothing to free being from suffering and place them to peerless happiness until I've attained full Buddhahood myself. Therefore, with a wish to be able to free sentient beings from even the deepest suffering, and all the suffering, and bring them to ultimate joy, not only temporary joy, but ultimate joy, I will immediately start working in every conceivable way to realize the state of complete, perfect enlightenment. And that is the bodhicitta mind. That is the bodhicitta mind. So the special attitude, the sixth one, special attitude, is, not only you have the wish to free and liberate all sentient beings from the suffering and cause of suffering, but you have this special attitude that I myself alone will free them from all the suffering and cause of suffering. Not only you have wish to lead them to ultimate happiness, but a special attitude, I myself will lead them to ultimate happiness and cause of happiness by myself alone. That is the special attitude. And that special attitude is a very courageous, strong confidence and courageous state of mind. So when you try to train your mind to develop that special attitude, then you are training and meditating to develop this incredible confidence and courageous mind. Is saying, not only I want to help that person, but I want to help that person by myself alone, without having to, rely on someone to help. Sometimes we want to help, but I want to help, but I need help. Do you get it? I can help, but I cannot help by myself. I need hand. I need someone to help. So you are waiting someone to come and for you to be able to help. Here, the special attitude is saying, I'm not waiting for others to come and help me. I'm willing to help by myself alone. I don't have to wait. I don't have to ask and wait someone to come and help me in order for me to help. I'm going to, even no one show up, even no one help, but I'm going to free them from all the suffering, cause of suffering. I'm going to lead them to the ultimate happiness by myself alone. So that mind is much more courageous and confident than previous wish of loving kindness and compassion. So that is why this mind is called special attitude or special intentions. It's much more stronger, courageous, more confidence in yourself to do that and have the courage. And on the basis of that special attitude, then as we mentioned, as I read, then you understand, without you achieving fully enlightenment yourself, fully enlightened state yourself, you will not be able to fulfill that wishes. And therefore, in order to fulfill those wishes, that I need to achieve fully enlightenment, and with that understanding, with that wisdom, then you cultivate a strong wish to achieve that fully awakened state, that fully enlightened state. And that mind, that aspiration, that wish to achieve, the inspiration to achieve your highest potential, fully awakened state, fully enlightened state, in order to liberate all sentient beings from all the suffering and cause of suffering, in order to lead them to ultimate happiness, that mind is called the bodhicitta mind. That is what is called bodhicitta mind. And that is the result. You go through those first 6 points of meditations, those are the cause. And when you go through those 6 points of meditation, then it leads to the result, the last one, the 7th, the bodhicitta mind. So that is, this technique is called, in the scriptures, is 7 point of cause and effect. That is what is known as. So there are 7 points, and it's 7 point of cause and effect. Cause and effect mean the first 6 are the cause, and the 7th is the result. And the first 6 are the cause of what? The cause of bodhicitta mind. And the result, the bodhicitta mind, is the result of the first 6 meditation and practice. So, yeah. So, yeah. So then here, however, merely meditating on bodhicitta is not enough. You must also maintain the following 4 training. We can meditate on bodhicitta mind, and we might even be successful in cultivating the bodhicitta mind, but we can also lose it. We can also lose it, just like a lot of things. Like we work on our physical health, trying to lose. But if you don't take care of, you can lose it and you can gain again. So you have to maintain all the time, the diet, exercise, whatever you do, to keep you healthy. You have to maintain that. You can, through certain, exercises, lifestyle, diet, you can be healthy at certain point. You can reach, but then you have to maintain it. Otherwise, you can lose that. Same in our meditation practice. We can cultivate loving kindness through meditations. We can cultivate compassion. We can cultivate loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta. But if we don't maintain, you can lose it. Of course, there are a point when you reach certain point, you don't lose it. There's no coming back or going back. You can reach certain point, then you never lose from that. But until we reach that point, you can all lose that. And to maintain that, then you have to do those practice here. 4 practice, 4 training, as it is said. Recollect the beneficial effect of bodhicitta. Even when you have already generated bodhicitta mind, or while you are trying to generate bodhicitta mind in training, we need to recollect, contemplate on the beneficial, result or effect of bodhicitta again and again and again. The more advantage you see of this cultivating bodhicitta mind, the more benefit you understand, the more enthusiasm you have to develop that mind, to maintain that mind, to improve that mind. And so therefore here, this generates enthusiasm for developing inspiring bodhicitta and ensure that result you have made does not degenerate in this life. Yeah. So that is one of the training meditation that we keep on doing, contemplating the benefit of the bodhicitta mind, cultivating bodhicitta mind. Again and again, again and again. So if you have not already cultivated, you will develop enthusiasm to develop it. If you have already developed, you will have to develop enthusiasm to maintain it and to improve it. Second training is generate bodhicitta 6 times a day. This strengthens your bodhicitta. Of course, this is just a one of example, 6 times. It can be 18 times a day, 24 times a day. And of course, when you reach certain point, when you actually really develop the realization, bodhicitta, then it's 24 hours, effortless. You feel that all the time. At the moment, at the very beginning, we are training to cultivate that mind. With the effort, we try to put effort to contemplate, meditate. As here says, 6 times a day. And normally 6 times a day is like almost like 2 hours. One meditation or contemplation every 2 hours. But since we don't have time and we are lazy, so then some of the teachers make it easy. 3 times in the morning, 3 times in the evenings. That is to make us a little bit more easy for us, because people struggle to find the time, and sometimes not being mindful, or sometimes being lazy, And then third training is do not mentally abandon any sentient beings or give up working for their benefit. When we train in cultivating bodhicitta mind, we cultivate this mind to liberate not just few, but each and every sentient beings from all their suffering, cause of suffering. When we train in the bodhicitta mind, in meditation and training, we cultivate the mind to lead each and every sentient being to ultimate happiness, not just few sentient beings, but each and every sentient beings. That is the resolve that we make when we try to train in bodhicitta, when we try to develop bodhicitta mind. So when you abandon one sentient beings and saying, I will never work for that sentient beings, I will never help that sentient being. When you abandon that, then you have abandoned one sentient being. When you abandon that sentient beings, then you have not included all sentient beings. When you are not included all sentient beings to free from suffering and lead them to ultimate happiness, then your bodhicitta mind degenerate. Your bodhicitta mind degenerate. Your bodhicitta mind collapse. Your bodhicitta mind deteriorate. And so therefore, in order to keep your mind, bodhicitta mind, from deteriorating, from degenerating, from losing it, you have to, keep all sentient beings all the time and not give up, even one sentient beings. So, not giving up in your mind, thinking when you give or abandon one sentient being in your mind, you make decisions. I will never work for that sentient being in the future. So, again, when you make that kind of, when you have developed that kind of state of mind, I will never again work for that person. I will never help and benefit that person in the future at all. Then that is when you kind of abandon and give up one sentient beings. And if you do that, then we lose the bodhicitta mind, And fourth training is accumulate merit continuously, So again, for the success of our practice, for the success of our meditations, for the success of our path, we need all the conducive conditions. We need all the conducive conditions that support that practice, that support that meditation, that support that path. And that is the practice of different accumulation of merit through different practices. There are many different practices to accumulate merit, and engage in those different practices that accumulate merit. And the merit is that conducive condition that support those meditation and practice. Just like for the success of anything for the success of an organization, any kind of organizations, for the success of your good health, for the success of your educations, for the success of your job, business, whatever, you need many conducive conditions. Many conducive conditions need to come together. For the success, it's not just one thing. There are many conditions that support for success. Same in practice. There are many, conditions that support, and one of the main is that conducive conditions is the creating merit. So that is why you continue to create that. If you don't have enough merit, then even you try to listen to the teachings, whether it's emptiness, whether it's a bodhicitta, you cannot relate with that. You cannot understand. You cannot understand, or you cannot relate with that. You cannot connect with that due to lack of that. So in the same meditations, even you meditate, you cannot make progress. You cannot, unable to progress because even you are doing the meditation correctly, whatever main meditation, but because there is not enough other conducive condition there. So that is where, and then that is the general, then now the author is going to go more detail with each of those points. And here says, to go into this in greater details, the first recollect the benefit of bodhicitta means maintaining continuous awareness of following teachings. Contents from the Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life. The author has put some from that. One is the moment you develop the mind of enlightenment, bodhicitta, you become the object of reverence for both humans and God. So once you develop bodhicitta mind, realizations, then you become a bodhisattva. Anyone who have that bodhicitta mind is the bodhisattva. Anyone who have developed that bodhicitta realization is a bodhisattva. If you have not developed the bodhicitta mind, you are not bodhisattva. If you have developed bodhicitta mind, you are bodhisattva. And once you become bodhisattvas, then you become, the objects of homage, offering, reverence, respect by all humans and God. Because when you become bodhisattvas, you are the one who have taken responsibility to free all sentient beings from all their suffering and to lead them to the ultimate happiness of all sentient beings. Who wouldn't be object of respect, such persons, such beings? Like even one leader who takes the responsibility sincerely and who does that to, to reduce and to reduce and to liberate all the being of that country or that state or that district and improve the well-being of that, all the people there will respect that person. That person is worthy of respect, offering, homage, So here the bodhisattvas is someone who have taken those responsibilities, totally dedicating their life selflessly, without any conditions, expectations for others to act in a positive way, nice way to them, without any of that, totally selflessly dedicating for all sentient beings. And therefore that person absolutely become object of reverence by all sentient beings. by means of fundamental nature, you surpass the brilliance of hero and solitary realizer arhat. So in one of the sutras, Buddha gives this with the examples. He gives the example of very learned minister and the newly born boy in the royal families. So even though the king has a very experienced, very learned minister with a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom, very learned, whereas the king give a birth to a new crown prince who has no experience, like the minister, who have no knowledge, wisdom, like the minister, expertise. But because the boy is being in the born in a royal family, he become more powerful than the minister. The citizen respect him because he is the crown prince who is going to be the king. So from that very moment, because you are born in certain families, certain lineage, you kind of overwhelm someone who has so much experience and knowledge and all, such as the minister. So that Buddha give that example and saying similar here is this one. When you develop bodhicitta, then that is like that being born in that royal families. Even if you don't have so much other knowledge with wisdom, realizing emptiness, wisdom realizing impermanent, wisdom realizing nature of samsara, and all other those great qualities, even if you don't have the highest level of, meditative concentrations, all of that, but just by having bodhicitta mind, those arhat who have so much high level of meditative concentration, moral discipline, wisdom realizing emptiness directly, wisdom realizing impermanent directly, wisdom realizing the nature of samsara, all this wisdom, they have so much wisdom and all this experience, knowledge. The bodhisattvas who have less of those knowledge, but because of that bodhicitta mind, it overwhelms those arhat. Even the arhat respect that bodhicitta, just as a minister would pay homage to that young newly born prince, crown prince, or who is going to be the crown prince. The minister will pay respect for that, bow to that in the same way that is arhat, even the arhat. So that is, I think that is what it is. You will not be harmed by the disease and evil spirits. When you develop bodhicitta mind, by cultivating bodhicitta mind, you purify a lot of negative karma, and by purifying a lot of negative karma, then we purify a lot of the negative karma to be sick, to be harmed by another beings, so then you have less harm, by the other harmful beings. You have less harm from the environments and so forth. And so therefore, you have less, disease and harm and so forth. Why? Because you have less negative karma for that. Why? Because that by the power of the bodhicitta mind, you have purified many of those negative karmas. I think I have to stop here. Any questions from today, please? Any questions? Questions, comment, sharing? Anyone?
I have two things. There's a person in my life that I you know, I truly wish their end of suffering and their wisdom and all that. But I don't do that within like 20 or 30 feet of them. I just have to, I have to stay away. They are, but truly deep down, I'm, you know, so happy if they grow along the Dharma path.
So that is wonderful.
That's okay.
Yeah. When here is training your mind, okay? To be able to be helpful to someone, first you need to train your mind. If you don't train your mind, if your mind is not strong, and you jump into the fire, you will burn yourself. So it is like, first you need to put all the protections to jump into what fire to save someone from the fire. You need to have all the gear to protect yourself to be able to save someone, jump into the fire and save someone. And so therefore, similarly, that first is training your mind. Even we cannot help directly, but training your mind. So when we do have the ability, the means to help, the wisdom to help, the skillfulness to help, you will be able to help because you have developed that mind. When we are not developed that mind, then sometimes even we have the ability to help, we don't help them. You know, we are unable to help them. And sometimes we don't have the skills. So if you don't have the skills and all the means, then you don't have to jump into the fire without protecting yourself. So first is then training the mind become more important. And therefore, you know, sometimes when we're around someone, the energy is too strong and we don't know how to handle that energy. And if we are too strong, there will be more negative energy building from the both sides, and it can burn both of them. And so therefore, sometimes it's better to just keep the distance, but from your heart, as you do, you train your mind, wishing them all the happiness, wishing them all the good, wishing them to be free from their suffering and problems, you know. So that is, yeah, especially when you're training in loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, in such meditation, that is what we focus on, building that mind. So that when you have that mind, then you don't have, even if you cannot help them, at least we don't have bad feeling towards them. Instead, we have good feeling for them.
Thank you. The other thing is in the Diamond Sutra on the 4th or 5th verse, it talks about charity and giving, suggests that it's very beneficial to give charity without form.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering if that relates to how that relates to what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, you know, in Diamond Khasa Sutra, it talks about cultivating bodhicitta mind. And when you cultivate bodhicitta mind, also cultivating bodhicitta mind, supported by the wisdom, without clinging and grasping to the enlightenment, without clinging and grasping to the sentient beings for whom you are trying to cultivate the bodhicitta mind. And also it talks about practicing 6 paramitas, charity or generosity and moral discipline and so forth. But when you practice in charity, also you try to practice charity or generosity without any clinging and grasping through the support of wisdom. So the object that you are giving, no more by understanding the emptiness of that object, no grasping to that object, you know. By understanding the emptiness of the person whom you are giving, by understanding emptiness, when you give, then you don't expect anything from them by understanding emptiness of that. You know, by understanding the actions of giving or charity is also understanding emptiness. You don't have any clinging and grasping to that practice itself, and you don't get arrogant or pride, delusional pride, or because I practice generosity, you know, because you understand the emptiness of that. So yeah. So anything that you give something physical form, you try to understand emptiness of that. And through understanding emptiness of that, then you don't get, grasping, clinging.
Thank you. I've been trying to formulate what my question is. So I feel like with this teaching, there's the images, there's like a clear thread of understanding. And then I have the one little knot in the thread that I can't undo. So that's what I'm trying to ask you. So I can feel the benefit of focusing on we don't want others to suffer and we want to generate compassion for ourselves. And I can feel the thread of wishing enlightenment for all beings. The place where I have trouble is when I feel to eliminate the suffering of all beings. I have a strong belief, and I think it's aligned with this, what you're saying, in karma, and that people are here to learn and grow, and that through their karma, they eliminate their suffering because they learn. So I feel I don't want to take away their learning. I mean, I'd love it if everyone could be instantly enlightened, and I can aspire to that, but I can feel when I try to put my heart into relieving suffering, I can't make it work because we're all here learning and growing. And the only way we're going to do that is through our own, unfortunately, our own suffering. So how can I get around this?
First of all, when we develop the wish to liberate them all the suffering and cause of sufferings, and therefore the wish to achieve enlightenment, and how can we help them to be free from all suffering, cause of suffering when you become enlightenment? Is to show them how to do that. That is how the Buddhas help. Show them skillful means in the way they understand, where they can get it, how they can reduce their negative karma, how they can engage in the more positive karma, how they can purify the negative karma already been created, and how they can engage in the path to enlightenment. So that is how that, and that is why the wish to achieve at the moment, even we want to help someone to be on the path, we don't have the skillful means, we don't have the right wisdom, we don't know what is the right, because if we say sometimes, even with the best intention, sometimes instead of inspiring them, we push them away from the path because they feel like you are trying to force them or you are trying to do something, and that is because due to lack of wisdom, due to lack of skillful means, all of that, and that is why the wish to achieve enlightenment comes in order to be more beneficial in doing that. At the moment, even we have the right good intention, we cannot do that because we don't have all the skillful means, wisdom, and so forth. So that is, I think that is one thing that we have to understand how, when you talk about helping to liberate from all the suffering, cause of suffering, that is when we achieve enlightenment, then we can show them how to do exactly what they're, according to their understanding, their needs, with the right skillful means, wisdom, and so on. That is one thing. In terms of interfering the karmas, I think if we can learn even without suffering, it's best. Why not? Of course, we can learn. You don't have to have a suffering to learn. In the Pure Land, there is no suffering like here, but still they are learning. Still there are different levels of bodhisattvas. Still there are ordinary beings and who are learning, improving, and becoming better and better, progressing that path, but they don't need the suffering to do that. So it's not necessary to suffer in order to learn. Of course, we can learn from suffering, there's no doubt about that, but it's not necessary that you need to suffer to learn. Also, it's not necessary that you need to suffer to purify, So if there is a way that I can interfere with my own suffering or suffering of others to reduce the suffering, to clear the sufferings, that's okay. You know, are we interfering with their karma? Yes, to some extent. But they can purify that without having to suffer it. There's a method to purify them without having to suffer. It doesn't mean the only way to purify is only through experience. It's not that way. If that is the only way, then that is your point makes sense. If there is the only way, the way to purify our karma is that you have to experience it. Then when you stop someone from experiencing, they have to experience that again futures. Because you interrupted that. But if they don't have the experience and they can still purify it, then interruption is good. We give them opportunity and the space and time for them to purify, so they don't even have to experience that. And so I think, yeah.
Thank you. Especially that first point really helped me, that by wishing them enlightened, we're not wishing them not learning the stages of what they need to learn. We're just wishing to support them in that process. If we could become enlightened and see how to best benefit them.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And just
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Geshe, wonderful teachings. Thank you. The 6th point, universal responsibility. By myself alone. I really heard, for some reason, previously, I heard universal responsibility, and yeah, okay, I can think about that. I can get there. But then by myself alone is so different, because I'm like, okay, yeah, I can take Nancy, let's go do it. I can help someone if I have my dog in the back of the car driving through a snowstorm, right? But by yourself alone, it's a whole different level of courage. So
yeah, it's cultivating much more stronger courage and confidence than loving kindness and compassion. Even with loving kindness, compassion, I'm going to liberate them from all sentient suffering and cause of suffering. I'm going to lead them to happiness and cause of happiness. But then what makes special attitude is that special courage, stronger courage. Yeah. Dedications, yeah.
And then, Geshe, I just had one other announcement to make, if I could just quick make it. I neglected to mention on this Saturday, we have 2 opportunities to gather and practice together. One is movie night. We have movie night at 5 p.m. this Saturday, and the movie is on the intermediate stage. So I wanted to mention that. And of course, so it's called Tucked On Between Worlds at 5 p.m. on Saturday. And then we have Guru Puja at 7 p.m. So thank you. Master Shanti Deva's verses. May all beings everywhere plagued by sufferings of body and mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be free. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, Until then, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And then the long life prayer for His Holiness. Gangri Rawe Korwe Jinkam Dear Pendang Dewa Malu Jungwe Ne Chen Re Zingwa Tenzing Gyatso Yi Jape Site Bardu Tengyur Chi.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you.